What'd you think?
Yeah, it's really fun. You do have to immediately abandon the idea that it's I just played for 3 hours and I don't really know what the story is. Hi, my name's Justin. I'm a video producer at inverse.com, and I love Fallout. Fallout 3, which came out over 10 years ago now, is just a groundbreaking video game for so many reasons. I think number one is it just redefined what storytelling could be in a video game.
How much did you play Fallout 3?
I think I probably logged 200 hours into that campaign.
And you did everything. You got all the shit.
Yeah, all the quests, all the side quests, all the unnamed side quests, ones that didn't even pop up. I've beaten that game a handful of times, and every single time I cry. The main storyline as a whole is so beautiful and well put together, but all the individual little characters and eccentricities are so well written and so well designed that it's a perfect game in my opinion. And the rest that have followed were all just as good. Fallout New Vegas, an amazing game. Fallout 4, very cool, a little bit broader in scope. But now we have Fallout 76. And basically since Bethesda announced it, everybody has been sort of speculating on what was and wasn't going to work because it was doing something that no other Bethesda game studio's video game has ever done before, which is ditch the solo player experience and focus purely on multiplayer. Multiplayer is not a thing that Fallout games have ever excelled in. It's not even something they've even really dabbled in. The game is strictly a lonely game. That's how the other Fallout games have always been. They're lonely games in a beautiful way, but in a very specific way. This game is ditching all of that and is focusing on becoming a purely team experience. I, as a big fan of the franchise, was very nervous, but ultimately put my trust into Bethesda. And when you put your trust into Bethesda, they put it back into you, because I was lucky enough to get invited by Bethesda to fly out to West Virginia for this Greenbrier event where they were going to be previewing the game a little bit early. We would get to talk to the developers. It sounded like an awesome experience. I was very excited, very nervous. Here's my journey.
So you check your Slack?
Do I fill this out? Alright, first thing on the thing, it says outlet. What is that? Inverse?
Yes.
Got it. It started a couple days before I hopped on a plane. They sent us a few emails telling us what we should be expecting, but ultimately it was basically come to play the game and talk to the developers and then go home. It seemed pretty simple, and it seemed kind of like a dream come true. They promised me outdoor activities, and they promised me a real Fallout shelter tour, and I would get to play the game early, and I would get to talk to the developers. Those are the four things that they told me I should look forward to. And so I just got on a plane and went there. When we were getting ready for this trip, one of the few things that we knew we really wanted to do, besides play the game early and get an interview with the developers, was to make a 76-minute documentary about our trip. 76 minutes is a lot of minutes. That's a lot of content to fill. We filmed the entire thing, so I think we could do it, but will it be something that anybody wants to watch? Who knows? That's what we're trying to figure out. That's why we sometimes would film everything and anything, even if it didn't need to be.
This beer balance is sweet. Multi-body with flowery sauce, Columbus and Chinook. That's it right now. All right. Thanks for talking with me. Enjoy the drinks and enjoy the game.
It It was honestly the hardest challenge of this. It was just trying to come up with 76 minutes of content for this freaking documentary. But I think we did it. Let me start over. I didn't just hop on a plane. There were about 19 different modes of transportation to get there. I took the Long Island Railroad to the airport, and then the airport I got on a little shuttle, and then I got to the plane.
There he is. What's up? Morning. So you just walked right past me. While you were texting, it's pretty sweet.
Oh yeah,
What's up, you ready for this?
dude, I'm ready.
You got all your stuff?
I think so.
Alright, sweet. Show me your bagel.
Dude, I ate it.
What?
I ate the bagel. I drank my lemonade. I've been here for like an hour. Got some time to kill. Called my mom. She's really excited for me. And the plane took us to a different airport where we got in an Uber. 11:02 now. If he's not here by 11:06, I'm going home.
Don't go home. Please don't do that. We're only at like 11 minutes.
If I filmed the entire flight back home, I don't even think we would get there. Which took us to a different, even smaller airport. Hopefully.
So far there's just like a lot of bags, like holding bags and moving bags. Is pretty much all of it so far.
And they put us on just the tiniest plane, just a tiny little charter hopper.
Tech and Bethesda would like to welcome you aboard. We hope you enjoy your time at Wasteland. So the game is Waste.
Fallout 76. It takes place in like a wasteland.
Okay. It's a video game?
Yes. I thought there was a lot of discussion about the bags that we weren't a part of. So I was like, oh, this is definitely not us. Most miss a plane, man. It's pretty big.
And we got on that, and that took us into West Virginia from Washington, D.C. And then from there, we got on a big bus, and then that bus took us to the Greenbrier. Now, if you guys don't know what the Greenbrier is, let me give you a little background. It is this giant, historic, very swanky, old-timey hotel in the middle of West Virginia. I know West Virginia gets a bad rap, and honestly, you know, maybe sometimes it deserves it, but the Greenbrier and the surrounding areas, just beautiful. It's this sort of ridiculous, isolated building in the middle of, you know, mountains and valleys, and it's really nice. I mean, there's a Ralph Lauren inside the hotel, as well as a cute little French bakery and a casino, which I did visit and lose $80, which is not that bad. So when you get to the Greenbrier, they give you champagne as soon as you're waiting in line to check in.
You want champagne?
Yeah.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Perfect, thank you.
Perfect. I'll take one.
Yes, sir. It's pretty good, right?
So we're getting a little tipsy. Minute 1 at the Greenbrier. You walk around this place and there's crazy carpet. All the wallpaper is very eccentric and old, deep south. It's the weirdest place I've ever been, but it was very cool. And the whole Bethesda event was going to be taking place at the Greenbrier in West Virginia because the video game takes place in West Virginia. Well, it takes place in Appalachia, which is sort of the post-apocalyptic version of West Virginia. You know, like the capital wasteland in Fallout 3 was Washington, D.C. In Fallout New Vegas is obviously the Las Vegas Strip sort of area, and then the Commonwealth in Fallout 4 is the Boston area around MIT and stuff like that. This one, we have Appalachia, which is sort of all of the West Virginia, Appalachian Mountains, Blue Ridge Mountains kind of feel. So I got to be in the spot where the game was going to take place. So started off pretty good. Something that should be noted, I am not a very social or outgoing person. I know I'm cool. I got a mustache right now. I know how to keep things hip. But when it comes to talking to strangers, especially like networking, like selling myself, I hate it and I'm not good at it. And so I was in a place where there was about 100 other journalists, 100 other, video game reporters, magazines and websites and all these people who were there for the same reasons, but they've done this a million times. I was probably the only one there. Well, this is my first rodeo. I'm a young dude. I'm sort of new to the media industry. Very excited, and I got some tricks up my sleeve, but ultimately, I didn't really know what I was doing. And I think this kind of shows throughout the trip. There were plenty of times where it was basically Bethesda threw us a party, and we got to just hang out. And I didn't know how to talk to anybody. I sat at a table or in a corner, and I, texted my girlfriend back in New York. I didn't know how to do it. This honestly was a very lonely trip, which is sort of appropriate for the Fallout universe. Then we went back. We dropped off our bags.
I think we can go to my room and drop off my shit, then I'll go to your room, and then we'll reenact you walking in, but half the bags. Right. So to go down 6 to the right, and then another elevator.
I think so.
Turn right. We're good. No, we should find number 76.
That's true.
Is this it? That's not it. It's a closet. Was it to the 5th floor? Or was it to the 6th floor? Or was it
It's definitely the 6th floor, but it's probably a different elevator. I don't want to carry this champagne anymore.
Alright, let's just finish it and then I'll go downstairs and get new ones. Oh! Whoa! Ding, ding, ding. That looks like an elevator to me.
This elevator's out of service.
So we just walk out. She could have told us that.
I feel like this is not for us.
Oh, there's cobwebs?
This is not.
Okay. This is wrong. This is wrong. Hello.
Hello.
I think we're lost.
What are you looking for?
7th floor.
No, you're lost.
Oh.
You're in the West Virginia lane.
Okay.
You have to go back downstairs, and you go around by the theater. You'll see a set of elevators over there, and you push 6. And then when you get off on the 6th floor, you'll have to go down the long hall, and then you'll find the 7th floor elevator.
Got it. So the elevator is on the 1st floor near the theater.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, may I help you find something?
Yeah, the 7th floor?
The 7th floor? Oh, you have to go, let me see which way it is. Give you direction in your map or?
No, they said it was an elevator's near the theater.
Near the
Yeah.
theater, okay. Yeah, I know where.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your help. Wow. This is a big ballroom.
We're gonna get murdered in here.
Yo, look what we found.
Oh yeah. That's my boy. That's my boy right there.
He's just all alone. Get a little picture with him. Do you think there's a bunch hidden throughout this hotel?
Well, dude, I mean, yeah, in the games you gotta collect the bobbleheads. This is basically a big bobblehead.
Try to do that cool MTV thing. Do that one thing you do, oh, you're doing the similar thing. All right. I've got to think about thumbnails.
What thing do I do?
Do that thumbnail thing. Do the thing again. Good thumbnail shot. Perfect. Look out like he is. Wink. Perfect. Oh man, Webbies. All right. It means we're on the right track. My left arm is murdering me. Ooh. All right, here we go. This is what we're talking about. Look at this decor. Just.
Another piece.
Bench. She explained it to me like she knew I wasn't gonna find it. What is on the 7th floor? Thank you. Perfect. See that? Exactly. There's an elevator. Oh, boom. I mean, are we gonna be lazy? Yeah, we are.
Look at this.
Mm.
7717.
7702.
I think you're done that way.
Alright, you wanna take this thing? Hey, how's it going? Oops. Good, good. Alright, I'll come back to you.
Okay.
702. Yeah, baby. Gonna grab this for Justin. Head to his room. Yo, what's up?
Welcome.
How's your room?
That's wild.
Alright, hold on.
We get into our very strange but cute rooms with slanted ceilings and old-timey bed sheets. It was interesting.
Here, I got you something. Dude, is that dope? It says your name on it.
That's me.
Yeah, dude, I got it for you.
Thanks, man.
Hey, dude, what's we could do? Let's pop some bottles. Get ready. Dude, we gotta open up our itinerary. This room's better than mine.
Where's your room?
It's this, but there's like think of it like Fortnite, and like this shit just comes in. So it's like I have this like weird triangle thing inside my room. Anyways,
Yeah, a little nook.
yeah, you got a crazy nook. Okay.
We get our a giant envelope, which basically had all of the contents of all the itinerary and everything we were going to need for the trip.
Very official from Vault Tech.
What's your name?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a little manifest. Woo! Oh, vault.
Oh, the Vault Tech provided their own map.
That's cool.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Ooh, we got your inverse. Woo! This badge. You ever hear about the badge?
It did have our badges in it, which were very cool. I still have mine. But it sort of listed out what we were going to be doing, which sort of brought the whole couple days into focus, because up until then we didn't really know what we were going to be doing. Once we opened that sucker up, we knew what was going on.
Yeah, what does all this stuff say?
Got all my stuff. Here's the itinerary. Did Reclamation Day reception tonight.
Reclamation Day? Is that what like the whole thing is?
Yeah. Dude, the idea of Reclamation Day is interesting
Why?
because usually in Fallout lore, like Vault Tech is actually a very corrupt industry. Their whole thing is that they are actually secretly doing social experiments on the Vault dwellers. And most of the time they don't actually want them to leave. They want them to stay in it as long as possible. So this is like the first time where it's like we get to leave. Usually like we escape. This time it's like it seems like it's a part of it. It's like they're letting us escape. Oh man. I don't know what they're trying to tell me here.
Why would they do that?
Yeah, it's face up too.
Damn. It's an omen. Hey, at least the wine says Justin on it, so it's
Yeah,
like
at least the wine.
Justin wine just for you. Oh,
Thanks, man.
the least I could do. You ever drink red wine?
I don't think I'm gonna like it.
Can I pour it in there? Thanks, bro. Great job.
First thing on the menu is that we were going to go on a Fallout shelter tour. Okay, so they promised us that it was going to be some sort of nuclear bunker tour thing. I personally thought that it was going to be fake, like it was going to be theatrical, like they had built it. It turns out that the Greenbrier is built on top of a real nuclear fallout shelter that they had built for the Senate and Congress in like the 60s. And this was a national secret for like 30 years. I think up until like the 90s.
It's not a government secret anymore. Hasn't been since 1992. That's when the secret came out.
Nobody knew about it, and if there was a nuclear strike, the Cold War and all that, this is where Congress and the Senate would be flown to, and they would continue running the country secretly in this nuclear blast shelter.
President Eisenhower was part of what was called a continuity of government program during the Cold War COG program. He wanted to have relocation facilities that would represent different branches of government. So not just his executive branch, but you also had judicial and you had legislative. This was for the legislative branch of government. So you have the Senate and the House in here. It's a huge bunker.
So it is no longer a secret fallout shelter because everybody knows about it. Now it's just sort of a nuclear shelter that you can take tours through.
Go say hi to Paul Boy. I gotta do it. Yeah, there he is. Do a little. Oh, it's great.
Like, if you watch Doctor Who, it seems like Red Flag 101 for like alien species posing as a certain company, and then ultimately they're trying to take over the human race, but we'll deal with that later. We got to tour this fallout shelter. It should be noted, they did not let us bring our camera in, so we can't show you anything.
Part of this documentary is supposed to be like going in vaults and stuff, right?
We're going in the vault, but the camera is not.
So I say, like, to get to that 76 minutes, like, we just roll like 10 minutes of just blackness, and then we just talk over like what happened.
That sounds great. Or you can just leave the camera on when you throw it into the pile of cameras.
It's a good idea, but I don't know. That's a great idea.
But I will tell you, it was pretty cool. It sort of is like a time capsule in there because everything in there seems like it was made in the 60s and 70s. But yeah, that was pretty dope. But after the tour, we were led to this sort of cafeteria area where I imagine the Congress in the 60s would have eaten had they been locked in there due to a nuclear blast. And they threw us a party.
I mean, usually the story is like one vault dweller amongst the sea of people who have already been out in the wasteland for a long time. This one is just going to be like a sea of
Vault dwellers.
vault dwellers.
How do you feel about some of these quotes?
They're all about food, and they're all kind of silly. I guess they're trying to lighten the mood since everybody in here would be really sad about their dead family and friends.
Where they lived.
I don't know, man. They said they made room for the congressmen and their staff. Didn't hear anything about families.
The cool thing about Bethesda parties is that they go crazy with the themes, okay? All the drinks were Fallout themed. There was like spiked Nuka-Cola. I forgot what I had, but it was like, I don't know. It was green and it was funky. Shit, what was it? I don't know. But all the drinks were themed. It was very fun. They had a couple snacks for us. Although the main food option they had at this tiny little cocktail party dinner, it was popcorn. And I'm allergic to buttered popcorn. It's very specific. I don't know. You can talk to my therapist about it. It might be made up. But I didn't eat any of that. I was getting pretty hungry, and we were underground, locked in this shelter with, a couple dozen journalists all kind of schmoozing. And I remember just sitting there and being too terrified to talk to anybody. So first day on this trip, not necessarily going so great. But the big day was tomorrow.
We are super excited to have you guys here to be amongst the first folks in the world outside of our company to play the game, which is really exciting and extremely terrifying. You guys can take pictures if you want. After I'm done up here, you guys can come pose if you want to be up here. I just ask you not to film this because I don't want to show up on the internet giving you guys the rules for today and for tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I would get to play the game and I would get to talk to the developers. That's all I really wanted. After this sort of cocktail party where we were given our cameras back and our phones, they also took our phones. That's crazy, right? I thought it was crazy. What if there was an emergency? That's why I'm saying, dude, this Doctor Who thing I think my theory is pretty legit. We got to check on those dudes who have taken shelter in the Fallout shelter. Anyway, after the cocktail party, they had a big party.
Dude, what'd you do?
Got my Reclamation Day penny.
Watch out.
Oh, dude, I didn't even see the bomb full of nuclear cap.
Can you get a new cap out of it?
I don't think so.
Get that new cap out of it. What's up? You just put one in?
Now you gotta get a penny here and then 3/4.
3/4. 76 cents. Got it. Now what do I do?
Now you push it in. Now you crank that son of a gun.
Yo, do the thing by yourself.
Alright.
You won't.
Ready? Ready. Alright, let's do it.
How you feeling?
I feel great.
In this one, they had a full dinner. There was skee ball there.
You're doing it wrong. You gotta bank it. That's the only way to get it.
There was a shuffleboard. It was pretty insane. It was super fun. I did talk to some people there. I sat down and had dinner with a couple dudes who like run some YouTube sites, and they were pretty cool. And we talked about Fallout and some other things. So I did break out of my shell a little bit. But ultimately, it was just like, have some fun. All the food, once again, was very themed. They had Instamash, and they had the Salisbury steaks, and they had like what are those? What are the crabs in Fallout called? Mirelurks. They had Mirelurk cakes, which are basically like crab cakes. It was pretty great. Everybody got a little drunk and stuffed themselves with free food. It was dope. They ended by the Vault Boy himself was there. Oh, I got to meet Vault Boy, which was dope.
We did it!
What?
We reclaimed the day!
I met him a couple times, and I hung out with him, and I did the thumb, and I did the thing, and it was pretty great. But Vault Boy was at the party, and then they played Country Roads while he just saluted, and then the balloons fell from the sky. It was pretty ridiculous, but it was pretty dope. After that, I basically went to bed. I'm pretty sure my producer went down to the casino, and things got weird.
I'm ready to go to the casino whenever you are.
Me too.
But I think I just I just hit the hay. The next day is the big day. Okay? This is the big one.
What's up? Morning. Hey. Good morning. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright, there's the door. Let's go. Sick.
Alright. 3 hours. Play the game. We have 45 minutes to Q&A.
Well, yeah, you're just playing a fucking video game, right?
Play a game.
Right? Get excited.
I'm pumped, dude.
What's over under? That's my water bottle.
Well, how would we know?
I don't know.
But it's almost definitely there.
I leave a lot of waters, places.
We were all sectioned off into different slots where we'd get a chance to play the game even before the beta happened. And mine was, I think, at about like 12:30 maybe.
Yeah, I get to play the game for 3 hours. That's a chunk of time.
So we went, got some breakfast.
Yo, you ready for breakfast, man? Ready to have some Colombian breakfast?
Dude, that's my favorite kind.
And then I got to play the game.
Is this your whole squad at this table?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, I can still play via my tiny little screen.
And it was awesome. Okay, it was very, very cool. They split us up into groups of 4, 3 journalists, and then 1 sort of team leader who is somebody who works with Bethesda and has, any idea what's going on. So the 4 of us would play together, and then we just got to kind of explore.
Oh, I got a machete. Beautiful.
Since we only got a few hours to play, and I wanted to get some exclusive content.
So you having a blast so far?
Oh yeah, dude.
They recommended that we stay with the group and do whatever they were saying. I didn't have the patience for that, and I kept running away from the group. But my group kept following me. I think it's because my leader was a little boring, and they'd be like, "What should we do next?" And he'd just be like, "I don't know. You guys want to go look at a cow?" And we're like, "I guess so." And then I'd be like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna run over there where the Mothman Museum is," and everybody's like, "Oh cool, we'll do that." And I'm like, "Okay, you don't have to," but they followed me. So anyway, I played the game for I think like 3 or 4 hours or something insane. It was a long time to just sit there and play a game, but I was loving it, and I did have a good time. I ultimately do think that it was a pretty fun game and a pretty fun experience. But after that, we got to sit down and talk with the developers. Unfortunately, Todd Howard could not be there. He was sick with something. Once again, I think it's all a conspiracy with the company that is inside the Fallout shelter underneath the Greenbrier, but that we can talk about later. But we get to talk to some of the big names behind the game and really pick their brain. Once again, I wanted to get some interesting exclusive content, so I didn't want to just ask them, why did you set it in West Virginia? I wanted to ask them maybe some more interesting questions and the things that I cared about, because I ultimately think that I represent a Fallout fan. I talked to a lot of people, the journalists there, who liked Fallout, but were sort of like, oh yeah, like, I didn't really play Fallout 4. I think the game, I'm excited, but whatever. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Why are you here? I'm here because I love this game. I love this series. And ultimately, I wanted to tell everybody what I thought about it, because I think that I represent a certain demographic of people who really give a shit about Fallout.
But they're not pointing. They're like just kind of walking.
Yeah, well, I'm the point.
No, like the other.
That's my thing.
So, I wanted to talk to them about the things that I cared about. One of which was storytelling. I remember I asked them about how they sort of gave over control of storytelling by removing human NPCs. That's a very big thing. The game is usually defined by human NPCs. There's hundreds usually. This game, there are 0, zilch. The only human interactions you have are with other players. Very, very strange. An interesting fact they did tell me is that this game actually has more individual voice actors than any other Fallout game, which might sound strange because there's no human NPCs. Turns out the holotapes that we've all come to know and love are the main source of storytelling, and therefore there's hundreds of hours of recordings of actors delivering these voice-over tapes things. It's pretty interesting. Once again, they did not let us film them. Super bummer, but we did get to record audio, so you'll get to listen to that.
For Jeff and Emil.
Totally. Did you guys have that alert go off on your phone?
my God. We did. It's like right at the end. So it's like that's President Trump telling us all it's time to stop.
It's time to get
Time for the next group.
She was saying that this is like the perfect place to be if something were to happen. Like, okay, we're going back to the vault.
We could just go in there, close the door, we'll be fine.
This is the first time though I learned the difference between a nuclear shelter and a fallout shelter. I had no idea that those were two different things until this tour. So. And I find it humorous too that they only gave Congress 60 days. So you have 60 days of food and then you got to go back out. It's like, good luck, guys.
It couldn't be much of a long-term plan anyway, like with Congress and, in the 60s, it's not going to be all white men. You're not going to have a generation 2.
That's true too. You're done.
Yep.
I just want to play more.
That's a good sign.
That's 3
I'll
hours
take
went
that.
by like way too. But we kept trying to target those dragons.
The scorch beast guys?
Yeah, we spent about 20 minutes trying to kill that guy.
Kicked my ass. I was like, no, we can't end this demo until we take one of those out.
Do you guys get close?
We got like down to like, I would say 40%.
Okay.
And then like we got really impatient at the point, so we all were just like, go ham, don't worry about cover, just go, we can get it. And then of course we all died.
Did you kill it on your own, or did you train him like back to the center?
We had a group of about 8 people.
Yeah, you got 2 separate
We were
groups
all
taking
about
it down.
level 5, level 4, level 5, but we took it down.
Cool. Coordinated effort.
Just took a lot of people. We were kind of on the mountain,
What was
so
really
you could
interesting there
move
is
it
that
around
we
a little.
were having a PvP fight, and then the Scorch Beast showed up. And we just like had a truce.
Common enemy. All right, should we get started? Let's do it.
My name is Jeff Gardner. I'm the project lead for Fallout 76.
I'm Chris Meyer. I'm a development director in Austin.
I'm Emil Pagliarolo. I'm the design director in Bethesda Game Studios Rockville. Shoot. Go ahead.
What do you got?
Oh, yeah.
Ladies
first.
Probably without context, that sounded weird too. The fat man, it's returning, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's all I needed to know. Enjoy.
I was wondering how nukes affect the gameplay. Like you said, does it affect the terrain at all, or is just radiation all around? How does it persist per servers or?
When you launch a nuke, it does not deform the terrain, but it does change the area. So you'll get, the glowing monsters will start showing up. Some of the fauna will change to a glowing version, and it's intended to, and it's irradiated. So you need power armor or hazmat suit realistically to adventure there, and that is in-game content. So when you nuke an area and it spawns all those things, that's where you get the high-end loot, high-end schematics, high-end crafting material. So you can get some of the best gear in the game by doing that.
How many options are there when we get someone who keeps harassing us? The one is just don't shoot back, then they'll get a bounty at some point. And number 2 is the pacifist mode.
Yep. So pacifist mode is a little confusing. Basically, it's on until level 5. In level 5, you're immune to PvP. Pacifist mode, what that does is that when it's on, it makes it so you can't then enter into PvP by mistake. So your bullets won't do the little tiny amount of damage that allows somebody else to shoot you back and enter into PvP. The other ways to avoid PvP are, remember, you can always ignore or block players. That makes it so they can't see you on the map anymore. So if you fast travel away from them, then they won't be able to hunt you down and find you. And then the nuclear option, for a pun, is to just quit out and rejoin the game, but we're trying to avoid that at all costs. So we try to give the players as much options as possible to avoid PvP in the game as they can. That said, we also found it's a lot of fun. The PvP itself is a great tension. When you see other players on the map, you don't know what they're going to do. So we try to strike the line between griefing and not making it fun for people who don't want to engage it and making it fun for the people who do. So,
can we mute someone who's yelling or screaming?
Yes.
Yes.
There will be area chat on launch day, hopefully in beta, but definitely on launch day. It came in late, but we have it working in the office. Just some bugs we wanted to shake out before we showed it here. But yes, you can definitely mute that. Yes, for sure. I would hate that personally.
Yeah.
I might mute it in general, but it's also cool in a way sometimes. So.
You can also just turn the entire system off too.
Yeah.
That person.
A lot of players like to play Fallout with mods when they're playing single player. And I know you've mentioned before that there were some plans for private servers. Can you tell us anything more about how that would work or how modding could work in this game?
The intention is sometime after launch, and we're not giving any time frame for that, that we will allow players to run private worlds. And then doing that also allows us to introduce modding as well. Because with public servers, there's really no effective way to do mods. But with private worlds, and yeah, our hope is that we'll let players be able to mod them to their heart's content and build whatever world they want to do, and then have other people come and join them. We probably then silo them off, so you can't take a character there, gear them up, and then go back to a public world. But that is the intention in the future.
That is far down the road, though.
Yeah.
Are there plans to bring back the workshop system to the modding workshop?
Oh, you mean? I'm sorry. I thought you meant like the in-game workshops.
Yeah,
you
no,
mean
the modding one that's like on Steam or on Steam Workshop.
Right. I don't think we can go into details of how that's going to work, but it is our intention to allow console players to experience mods as well.
Absolutely.
Do you have any plans for continuing to add content to the game after launch, like expansions or DLC or?
We have a lot of plans we're not talking about. Chris has a really good line, like, listen, we want to be able to react to what the players are doing too. So we have both features. We obviously, the phases of game, you stop adding features to a game, generally in alpha, unless you're Todd Howard. Anyways, I guess that's
a good joke.
It's more funny internally. Like, oh shit, please, what did he say? So anyway, that'll come back to haunt me maybe. So anyways, if I apply for a job, you'll know. So anyways, but so we actually have a lot of ideas ourselves of things we wish we basically, because a lot of ideas come from playing the game and iteration on the game. So you start playing the game like, man, it would have been great if we did this, would have been great if we did this. We have a list of those. We have a list of different like events and other things we want to add in eventually. But again, like right now we're not really talking about it. We're focused on making this game. Obviously, we still have more work to do on the game. We have more optimizations to go. We apologize if you experience any of that. We wanted to keep players in the forest, but the third group through, we realized after the first group, you guys just go wherever you want. So you saw some areas of the game that weren't fully optimized. They actually are now. That build's about 3 weeks old, I think. So we're focused on shipping the main game, and then after that, we'll respond to the community. We have plans, and all of the content that we're going to release for the game, we're planning on making free to keep people engaged and having fun.
So in Fallout 76, it's like, are there no human NPCs?
Correct.
Right. So there's like a lot less voiceover actors, I'm assuming, for this game.
Well, holotapes.
Yeah, there's a lot of holotapes, and like obviously like the robots still talk.
There's actually, to be honest with you, there's a shocking number of holotapes, and a lot of them have unique voices. So actually, I think our unique voice actor count was higher.
Really?
Yes.
Well, the line count in Fallout 4 was longer because half of that was the player dialogue too, and there were 4 choices for everything.
Sure.
So there's a lot of dialogue inherent in the dialogue system.
Right.
But because the stories are told through holotapes and stuff, there are a lot of unique voices and stuff. So.
Yeah. Was it hard for you guys to sort of grapple with the idea that a lot of the storytelling would sort of be in the players' own heads and hearts? Like they're sort of crafting a lot of, like, they're like reading terminals and listening to holotapes. A lot of them sort of almost like D&D style crafting their own stories. So is that how did that play out?
Yeah, I mean, you've got quest designers who are making quests, the same way for over a decade, and then, hey, guess what? The most important tool, dialogue, we're going to take that away.
Right.
Adapt.
Yeah.
Huh? And so, we've always done holotapes and all that, but we've never driven the main story like that before. So we're like, is this going to be as compelling? And then we realized, when we added the Overseer storyline, we were like, we need a better main quest hook. And that's when we added the Overseer story and her personal journey through everything. She's sort of your guide through it all. Yeah, but it was tough.
Are there any other vaults other than 76?
Yes.
No comment.
You
get that one.
They're locked, and there are reasons. You can refer to an earlier question, probably.
Is there a filter in the server list, like a ping or language?
Oh, that server list you saw today is debug only.
Yeah, there is no.
Game.
There will not be a server list in the real game at all.
Okay.
So you'll just you're playing on a server, and our matchmaking takes things like ping into account. The matchmaker is primarily optimized at getting you in fast, and into a server that's going to have a reasonable experience with other people. But the only way to really specifically pick a server is to join a friend that's already on that server. So if you want to go play with a friend, then you go through the social menu and say, I want to play with my friend, and then you'll get matched onto their server.
Do you have a general number of how many servers there will be at launch?
Thousands.
Thousands.
That's one of the reasons we can't have a server list.
Yeah.
It's like it's gonna be thousands.
I think Pete said 500,000 or more, and I don't.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of an exaggeration, but
if it is that
when
many.
he said that, trust me, I was like, well, maybe not. But no, there's going to be. You can just do the math. I mean, there's 24 people on the server, so.
Yeah. Are there any structured multiplayer games within the game? Like everyone goes to an arena and has a death match, or captures the flag?
There was
or...
one event in particular called Hunter Hunted. Some of you may have run into it. It is basically a pre-war government espionage assassin simulator. So that is one of our PvP events that you can do. There are definitely things like that.
Yeah, there's other ones too.
Workshops as well. Like if you claimed one of the public workshops and built it up to collect resources, other players can go and engage to try to take that workshop away from you as well.
Yeah, each workshop has unique resources that you can then mine from them. So some are more valuable, some are valuable, and will be valuable to different people at different times. What they're trying to mine.
I'm writing for a West Virginia paper.
Welcome. Cool.
And so I've been consistently fascinated with the story and things that have come out, and how positive and how rich the storyline and the connection with West Virginia lore and West Virginia history is. The release date, though, November the 14th. Is there a reason why that particular date? No. Okay, because for West Virginia history, there's a tie there.
Is it really? Okay, this
No
is
way.
news to us.
There's a what?
There's a tie.
Like it was all intentional.
No.
Do you watch college football?
Sure.
Marshall University?
Is that
The
that
Marshall
day?
crash is November the 14th.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm surprised that wasn't brought up because there are
That's-
people on our team that really watch a lot of
There are a
shocking
lot of
amount
people
of
on
football.
our team that are really well versed in that stuff, and
Yeah.
that's the first I'd ever heard of it. So like, I think there's so much stuff that we try to keep track of that, like, you
No,
know.
the dates are usually chosen by when's the last. When's the latest I can do this?
I mean, it's more of a production concern than anything.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. What's the last day you'll allow me?
There's an easy way to acknowledge and include if you wanted to. That would be positive. But yeah, I was kind of surprised at the release, because trying to plan something with Marshall for it, and they were like, well, we can't do it on this day.
Well, I would actually like to talk to you afterward.
Yeah,
to
that's
get some information
Yeah.
on that. That'd be great. Actually, and I'll grab someone from marketing. That'd be really cool.
Okay.
Thanks for letting us know.
Well, let me speak to it just about the Westford.
Yeah.
This came up in the last group. Like, one of the things that was really important for us to do is like not do like redneck West Virginia
Mutant
or
hillbillies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no
Yes.
mutant hillbillies, no stereotypes, none of these old bullshit tropes. You know what I mean? And we were really trying to be respectful of the people and the culture, and hopefully we were. And
No, I keep saying that over and over again to everybody. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank
like
you.
I can't stress enough how powerful it is to see something this incredibly positive about the area and about the state. It's just, yeah, you all did a fantastic job.
That means a
And
lot. That means a ton.
Like, I love it.
Thank you.
Cool.
Plus golf ghouls.
Golf ghouls. Strike breakers. If you get into Beckley, there are robots named strike breakers, and I stared slack-jawed at it. Because I was like, oh, this is going to piss people off, and I love it.
That's
yeah. It's powerful.
Thank you.
With the removal of like time stopping VATs, and now that when you enter your Pip-Boy, you're still in the middle of a game and people can still be shooting you, it doesn't stop time either. I guess maybe pacifist mode might be the answer, but is there sort of like, for people who aren't as versed in like first-person shooters or dual analog, being really, have the reflexes for it? Because with previous Fallout games, you could sort of like rely on VATs if you weren't super adept at first-person shooting. Is there sort of a easy mode for people who might need?
We had to get
that?
rid of difficulty in this game, which is one of the things we've actually wrestled with. Because I tell people who have, like, my sister just got a copy of Fallout 4, and it's like, I know you don't play games, so turn it all the way down to easy. But the VATS is still in the game.
Right.
It starts off as a whole body. We actually, like many things, we had very different incarnations of this, and we went to full body because it was the simplest way to do it, because it is still real time. That was one of the things like, oh yeah, I can't pause the server because that would be a terrible gameplay experience for everyone else other than me. So there's that, and then as you get gang levels, you can perk it up and make if you want to make it a little more tactical, you can. But we really tailor the start zone. Obviously, one of the things we experienced when we watched you guys play is like, oh, you guys know how to play games, so you can take on a Scorch Beast at level 5. And I was emailing the design lead. This might be a problem. So I'm hoping that we've balanced the game, so at least the start zone is sort of user-friendly. We put the Quick Boy in, so you don't have to, bring it up. No, I guess it's over. No, we put the Quick Boy in, so you can pull up the... So you don't have to just have this huge animation, your whole screen blocked. But I have found that a lot of us are single player gamers in the office, so we've all adjusted to it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think it just sort of happened this way that a lot of the early creatures they're easy to kill, but they're small and quick, like the Liberator bots, the little commie bots, right? And so the VATS is sort of like a cool panic button. You'll just automatically snap to them and becomes way more easy to deal with that stuff.
Yeah.
I have a question about server resets.
Sure.
How long will servers persist on average before they're reset?
The game is designed to where you as a player shouldn't have to worry about that. So as you play the game and you build a camp and then you log off, your camp goes with you. And then when you log back in, you're most likely going to be put on a completely different server, but then we're going to put that camp down in the same spot unless the edge case of somebody already built there first. I mean, it'll pack up and blueprint for you so you can then place it down again somewhere else. But yeah, there really shouldn't be a situation to where you care about getting onto the same server that you were on. So the server persists as long as it needs to, depending upon the number of people playing at any given time.
And that kind of takes me into a second question. Can you expand claim building territory by joining multiple camp units? So like if I've got one, and then
you can build in proximity. You don't actually all build in the same area and have the area sort of magically get larger. But if you and your friend Bob want to place camps near each other, this was really...
And you can also, if you're on a team, you can join in somebody else's camp.
Yeah, so team members can help each other build.
Yeah.
Sorry, if somebody else go.
No. Okay.
In other Fallout games, the radio stations and the music play a huge role in it. With this one, I would kind of expect that continuity. But for West Virginia, for Appalachia, outside of West Virginia, music plays a large role. So does that come into it? Like, I'm not expecting everything to be, bluegrass or whatnot, but just, do you hear those ties?
Very much so. So there's the Appalachia radio, and that we have a lot of songs from the West Virginia region, or so that's something that we definitely looked at, and there's a lot more of that stuff.
Yeah, cool. We definitely sourced a lot of that.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Is there a host? A radio host?
No.
There was not. No, we talked about that. There is no DJ. No.
We didn't want you to find them and kill them.
Yeah.
It sort of broke. It broke the fiction, right? That was one of the pieces of fiction we had to really debate. Because if we have a live DJ,
one person killed.
And the DJ in Fall 3 and Fall 4 very much is talking about the lone wanderer, and we know there's all these people coming out of Vault 76. It wouldn't really fictionally make that much sense either.
We had actually, we had talked about the player being able to make radio stations.
It's a good idea.
Isn't that a good idea?
It's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
So many good ideas.
It's not there though.
Who can edit my camp? I saw a teammate added stairs onto my base box. So who can edit those things?
The camps?
In my camp.
Anyone who's on your team can build and edit in your camp. And if you don't like what you're doing, then you can kick them off the team.
That's why, because we had put you on a team, that's why they could do it.
But yeah, it's designed this is supposed to be like Fallout with your friends. So if you and your friends want to get together and all build a camp together, that's fine. And that's what it's sort of designed to do.
What is the weirdest creature in the game? Because
weirdest
screw
creature.
that dragon. I never want to see one of those ever
It's not a
again.
dragon.
But what's the biggest or the weirdest or most random creature that players will find?
I actually don't want to say because it's so big and random.
You have to say it.
Well, the coolest is the Mothman, I think.
The Mothman's awesome.
Mothman's awesome.
We couldn't find him. We waited. We kept
the
seeing,
Mothman.
we kept seeing,
Did you actually see him?
We saw smoke, where it looked like something, but I honestly think somebody threw a frag or something just to make
The Mothman's got a great mechanic. I don't want to talk about
Actually,
it right now. If anyone discovered it, we would let it out. But
the honey beast is really it's like this bee thing, this gross bee thing that crawls along and shoots bee swarms at you.
Oh,
it's disgusting in there. It's really And the ticks too.
The ticks
though.
are disgusting.
Ticks are disgusting.
Gross.
Because you might not notice that when the ticks attack you, their blood sacs fill up with blood.
They give you diseases. Yeah.
If the tick gets a few hit and he turns into this red sort of bulbous mass, and just gross. It's just
That's cute.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
Are there flying squirrels?
There are squirrels. They're red squirrels, but they don't fly.
Okay.
That's a great one, though. I might put
might
that in my
just
pocket.
take that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we have time for maybe 2 to 3 questions. You make them quick.
Yeah, I guess my biggest question coming into this event was, is this game going to feel like Fallout? And it definitely does.
Thank you.
So, good job there.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Can you guys talk a bit about the process there with the crutch of NPCs removed, how you went about maintaining that flavor?
Our team has been making Fallout games for a long time. Most of the designers have made Fallout games before, so they have the experience of doing that. And so it wasn't that much of a stretch to it's set in West Virginia 25 years after the bombs went off. But they're still telling the stories the way they've always told the stories. The format is a little different, but they had the experience and the skill to do it. So, and that's why we were comfortable. It's going to feel like a Fallout game because these guys know how to make a Fallout game. So,
going with the kind of the earlier question about the nukes, the pacting, the way that the fact that it's a spinoff and it's so close after the nuclear reaction and everything. Is it going to be a seasonal change? Will that radiation start affecting the entire world, regardless of the server? As the months go on, will there be a seasonal?
I love that idea, but no. Right now,
no.
It lasts a few hours on that server. Yeah.
we wanted to be able to control it and to have a repeatable experience that didn't basically screw a bunch of people if they didn't want it. That's the hardest thing for us, is balancing I'm shooting a nuke and affecting half the map, but maybe I don't want that that has the potential to ruin the whole server or whatever. So
yeah.
Would you guys ever do seasonal events, Halloween events and Christmas events?
Great idea.
We've talked about everything. So.
All for Halloween events.
Yeah.
Pumpkin House is in the game.
Yeah, it is. The game takes place on October 23rd or something like that.
October 23rd is when the bombs dropped, and that's when.
So there's a lot of Halloween there.
Yeah.
Just recently, Sony has opened up more crossplay options. And I know it's probably far too late to implement that for launch, but is that something that you might think of adding in the future years into the game?
Yeah, as you said, it's far too late at this point to do it when they decided to change their policies. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's something we'll think about and consider.
And Pete Hines put a huge shoe down on that one. His Twitter is hilarious.
Oh, we know. Go ahead.
Okay. Early history is a lot of Native American history and Native American, and you see those traditions kind of carry on. New Vegas had kind of that presence in theme and tie-in. Sure. Does 76? Do we see Native American carried out?
I'll tell you the honest answer to that. At one point early on, there was some Native American stuff, but it felt really non-representative, a little bit cliche. We're not the right people to do this right, and it was the stuff we had we took out because it just wasn't done properly, and we didn't feel like we would, and it was a small enough thing that we just decided there are some references to it, but there's not, and it's inherent in some of the culture, but it's not something we did a deep dive into.
Yeah. Okay, because some of the locations you can see where the history might pop up and show up in ways,
right.
But actually doing anything that was modern, there aren't reservations or tie-ins. So
right now,
no, that makes sense.
No, and again, the Fallout universe is it split after World War II, but we take liberties with some of the different historical things too. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want another question?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. You guys are good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Look forward
guys.
to having dinner with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tonight.
Thank you.
Can I take a photo with you guys
Sure.
in front of the panel there? Because it's that.
Yeah, it's a little too
dark.
dark.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
It's very dark.
We're going to do it outside.
Oh, we're doing it out here?
Yeah. All right, thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thank you. It was nice meeting you all.
Nice to meet you, too.
it was pretty sweet. But this is when I first started getting nervous about the game.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Yeah, it's really fun. You do have to immediately like abandon the idea that it's like a like I just played for 3 hours and I don't really know what the story is. So I feel like it really is just like crafting your own stories. And I feel like if you weren't playing with friends, it might take away from it. If you're playing with like 3 friends all the time, it sounds like it'd be a blast. It feels like it would almost play almost like Dungeons and Dragons if you're like crafting your own stories. Like we came across this dragon, it's called a Scorch Beast, and it was level 50, and we fought it for about 15 minutes and did barely any damage to it. So I can picture just like spending the next couple days looting up, leveling up, getting higher levels, getting better weapons, and then going back and fighting the Scorch Beast. So it feels almost like maybe like a Destiny raid or something like that where you have to like sort of train for it, which is really cool. But yeah, but it definitely it feels the least like a Fallout game of any of the Fallout games I've ever played.
The least like?
Yeah. I mean, it's got all of the classic themes, but yeah, I feel like it'll take an adjustment period for some Fallout fans.
You were just kind of like zoned in there. Like I couldn't even talk to you.
Yeah, well, you got 3 buddies in your ear the whole time. It's very interesting, but it is cool that even when you're on a team, you can do your own thing, just like classic Fallout. Because Fallout is a very solitary game. You just got like the radio in your ear, and maybe like your dog, but that's it. It's a very lonely game, intentionally. But in
That's
this
why
one,
people like it.
Yeah, but in this one, you still have that option. Like if I wanted to, sometimes I would just run away, do something, and then when they discovered something, I would just fast travel to them. So it is cool how you can sort of bounce in and out of team play as much as you want. And also the PvP thing is cool because basically if you don't engage with somebody, it does very little damage to you. So you you never have to PvP. Because like if they start shooting you and you don't engage, it does like 1% damage. If you fight back, then it goes full damage and then it's a real fight. So it's up to you. So if you just decide to just ignore somebody, they'll waste 300 bullets on you before it does any real damage.
Interesting.
Like I said, this game is unlike any other Fallout games. It's focused so much on multiplayer that I don't know. It might take away some of the beautiful storytelling that Fallout is famous for, and it's going to rely on your interactions with other players. And I don't know if you've ever played online video games before, but sometimes people on the internet can be dicks. They can be real jerks, and it can totally ruin experience. I play League of Legends fairly frequently, and that game is made or broken by how much of a just trash team that you have and how douchey they're going to be to you. And then, after we said goodbye to the developers, our job was kind of done.
Well, I know that some of the cool things that they're going to have are like falconry, and there's tomahawk throwing, and I forgot what other things I didn't get to go.
There's falconry?
Mm-hmm.
What's that mean?
Like falcons.
Yeah.
It's official.
It's a stunning reveal that left fans asking, is this really what the Fallout games have been lacking? I'm here at the Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia, where Bethesda Studios gave us an early look at the game to get a sense of what to
Yeah, we can jump in. You can jump in this tour area.
What are they? Oh, they're giving the thumbs up.
We had an entire day left in West Virginia where they basically just made sure we had a good time, and they kind of did it.
We're at the Greenbrier. I played 3 hours of Fallout 76 today, and now I'm gonna go throw some tomahawks.
Sick.
We had a big dinner that night, which was super dope.
I really don't want to be the first people there.
Are we sure it was 5, not 5:30?
It says 4:45 right here.
Yeah, but is this everybody's going to Founders Park?
Who else is going to Founders Park, dog?
I don't know. Still no one else. We're still the first ones?
Really?
Where's all your buddies at? We wanted to be fashionably late, but now we're fashionably early.
It was outside and it was beautiful. I mean, you got to see this place. The Greenbrier, the location, mwah, it's so beautiful.
This place is wild. Look at that view. They actually are tomahawk throwing.
I thought they were full of shit.
Once again, this final dinner that they threw for us was just a schmooze event that I was not prepared for, and I ultimately spent a lot of it sitting by myself, or actually my only friend I really made on this whole trip was a falcon. I got to hold and talk to a falcon, and it was amazing, and I will never forget her.
Daisy. Yeah, just chilling.
I hope she's doing well. Sunflower? What's her name?
This is Daisy.
Oh, Daisy. I think her name was like Sunflower, Sunshine. I don't know. It was something, but that was one heck of a falcon.
I love birds.
They also had axe throwing at this dinner, which was pretty crazy. I was gonna do it, but I got too nervous and I didn't do it.
How you feeling about this?
It's like I know I have it in me, but I feel like I'm gonna choke.
But I did get to hold the falcon, which was pretty sweet. I ate a ton of food. They went all out for the food portion of this thing. I remember they had this like crazy cobbler and these like barbecue ribs. It was super good. I also spent a good portion of this dinner reading the story Cat Person. It's a New Yorker short story. If you haven't read it, you should read it. But I remember my producer was telling me about it, and I said, I'm going to read that right now. And I sat down and I read the thing. It took me like 20 minutes. I just sat there and I didn't say anything to anyone, but I read that whole thing. It's pretty good. You should check it out.
Beautiful night in West Virginia. You just finished Cat Person for the first time.
Yep.
It's called Cat Person, right?
Yeah. I typed in cat person article and it's the first thing that came up.
All right, instant reactions. It's that guy, right?
Yeah.
It's that guy.
Yeah, it's that guy. If that guy put on like 30 pounds. Yeah.
But it's still stuck in my head.
I feel like it's a very honest depiction of what it's like to be a young woman. It makes you feel kind of gross inside.
And then we were all stuffed, a little buzzed. We went back to the Greenbrier, and then a lot of us ended up down at the casino.
Look at Justin's at the ATM. He's gonna, you know what this means? Justin at the ATM means casino.
Where, like I said, I lost a small chunk of change. And I had some more champagne because they just give it out there at the Greenbrier. It's like tap water. And then went back to my room. The next morning, I started my long journey back.
Let's get out of here. Skedaddle. Sick of filming you. What's up?
Going home. It's all over. Back to reality.
Walking off the plane. Maybe next time?
Flight number 1.
Oh, perfect. Hey man, you just got off the plane?
Yeah. Welcome back home.
Dude, people
Pretty
might
crappy,
think
yeah.
people might think you're a YouTuber right now.
I am a YouTuber.
The guy who invented the airplane?
Like the Wright brothers?
Like the Wright brothers. I mean, not like the Wright brothers. Orville Wright. He got a toy helicopter in 1903 and was like, I want to do this but for real. So that threw me off. I was like, wait, how's there a toy helicopter?
Yeah, what?
But I look forward and like all like content.
All like what?
Content. Say like subscribe on YouTube.
Into the camera or just to random people?
To random people. Alright, let's go.
Basically picture how I got to West Virginia, but in reverse. Got on a bus, took me to a tiny airport, got on a tiny plane, flew me back to Washington, D.C., got in an Uber that took me back to the airport, got on a different plane that flew me somewhere.
Oh, shit. Yo, Justin, what's up, man? Yo, you're back.
I'm back in New
Where
York
were you?
City. I was in West Virginia. Playing some Fallout 76.
Oh, what's up? You getting that Uber?
Yeah, I'm checking all those prices.
Is it bad?
It's pretty bad.
Woo.
And then I got on the train and then came back. Bruh. It was a lot, but we made it back, and it felt like a strange 48-hour journey into a Fallout universe. You really want to know what I think about the game? You really want to know? Okay, I'll tell you. I think the game is cool, but ultimately, the game is only going to be as cool as the people you're playing with, and that is a very dangerous thing for an online video game. Okay, so what do I mean by that? I do associate this game with Dungeons and Dragons. So much of this game is going to be coming up with cool storylines yourself. I mean, there is a main quest. There's dozens and dozens of side quests that you're going to be playing in this game. But the fun of it is going to come from joining up with some friends, getting matching outfits, organizing raids against other teams, participating in PvP, and just sort of crafting your own story, which is very cool. But ultimately, if you don't have the energy to do that, or if you don't have a group of friends who are going to play every night with you, this game could suck. This game might not have the meat to hold up on its own if you don't have cool friends or a cool imagination to fill it with. If you do, I think it'll be amazing. I think it could be really fun. But if you're used to Fallout games that will just give you amazing, this one's not going to do it. This one asks you to participate in the making of the amazing. Okay? That's kind of a pretentious way to put it, but it's the only way that makes sense to me. I am still going to play the heck out of this game, but I am weary. How's it going?
You don't need to talk for 76 minutes.
I know, I'm doing the whole thing.
Okay, just like, yeah, talk about your spirit, then I'll just like free-flowing all
Oh,
the
I
shots.
got it, man.
So I got all the shots on timeline. I just need a little narrative.
I got it.
Alright.
I'm almost done, dude. That's you, Weston. You just interrupted me while I was wrapping up. So, will the game stand the test of time like Fallout 3 does? Only time will tell. But the important thing is, I took a really strange, lonely, amazing journey to West Virginia, where I got to play the game, talk to the developers, meet a falcon, and spend some time really contemplating my own life and anxieties. And that's all you can really ask for in life. Anyway, guys, I hope you like the game, and if you don't, that's okay too. The next Elder Scrolls game is going to be out soon, and I'm sure that'll be dope. And Fallout 5 will be out in 4 years, and I'm sure that'll be back to basics. Goodbye, my friends. Good luck out in the wasteland.
What did you learn from this trip?
What did I learn from this trip? I learned that, it's hard to mingle at these events. And, you just gotta be true to yourself, both in real life and in video games.
Alright, let's just do this in the office tomorrow. Yo, you got a dope... Oh man, you got a dope bag?
Thanks for watching. This documentary has been 76 minutes.